It's October the 18th, 2025. I'm Chris, and this is The Future of Photography.
The Future of Photography.
Hello, gentlemen. Jeremiah, Adrian.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
How's everyone doing?
Well, we're good.
Jolly good. Jolly good.
Slow.
So it's a little bit slow. Leaves are turning to leaves. We've got some great colours in the leaves here at the moment.
I think what's happening is it's getting colder, and that slows you down.
Well,
because it's October.
We've had quite a heat wave here in Los Angeles, but the weather's turned a little. We got a little rain, believe it or not, and it's one of those beautiful 70 degrees, spring-like pre-winter day. There you go.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
Yeah. You and your pretend
You'll hate me more in January.
Anyway, winter. Cold, dark, photography, nah. Who does photography in winter?
Fun times.
I travel to winter to take pictures. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you were in winter for a month.
I was.
That's one thing you can do. I'm a fan of the cold, of ice, of snow. It's one of my favorite things is taking pictures when it's really cold.
Why do you think that is, Chris?
The cold usually comes along with a reduction in color palette, so you have just a very, very almost monochromish, depending on where you are. You often end up with like mist and fog in the air. So especially when it starts becoming winter, so that totally cleans up the image. It takes a lot of distractions out of the image, makes it easier, and it just focuses you on shapes, on contrasts, on dark and bright, and it's a bit of a challenge. And I like a challenge.
Yeah, it is. I mean, my attraction to it is very much about the level of light. I mean, I was born in Montreal, so it's quite a cold climate, which I'm sure is similar to where you live. I was always very, I didn't much like walking to school in minus explo zero, where you had to cover your mouth or your lungs would freeze. That wouldn't be fun. Maybe explains why I'm here in California now. But what I loved is the how low the light is, and that's something that a soft light, low, a little bit 3/4 backlight is really beautiful, and it enhances the abstraction of the landscape in so many ways. So the eye is able to kind of form compositionally, really pinpoint the focal point of the image without a lot of distraction. Now, there is something really beautiful about the cacophony of, say, fall color and forests and all of that, but there is something minimalist about shooting in snow in winter. Again, very tricky. It's very easy to overexpose. It's also, but it also encourages you to underexpose, which is quite beautiful. Underexposing in low light, and then slightly lifting the shadows in post can yield some really effective and beautiful landscapes that are not dependent on a lot of heavy editing, but just a celebration of what the eye sees. So I'm a big fan there as well.
Sorry, go ahead, Adrian.
I'm with you on the light thing, actually. Not so much the low light necessarily, but there's a quality to it, right? So I have a lot of pictures a lot of photos over the years from commutes through the city in the early morning in winter. You get where the sun is very low and it comes through the gaps between the buildings and things like that. It shows the environment in an entirely different way, right? And you can play with that, and for 9 months of the year, the light in the city, whatever time of day you commute, is reasonably normal, right? Not particularly exciting. And then there's a few months of the year where if you get the timing right, and it just gives you a way to express it and capture it in completely different ways.
Well, here's a question for both. I've said I like the sense of a dense cloud cover and low light, and yet on those crystal clear, sharp, sunny days in full backlight, you have this wondrous. Again, it's abstract because it's almost like an etching.
It's a challenge for the camera as well. Yes,
very much so. Less as our dynamic range, our gammas get widened, and our ability to capture on both ends of the spectrum detail. But I think that challenge also, even in kind of erring one way or another, is also really, really interesting. There's I think he's a Finnish photographer. I'm probably wrong. Pieti. Oh God, starts with unpronounceable for me.
And how do you spell him?
Oh my God. Anyway,
is this one of those ones where we have to put the link in the show notes, Jeremiah?
Yes, it is. Yeah. But he's a photographer that has favored for the last 30 or 40 years, snow, dark, really interesting or minimalist captures of farm life and country life. And I say Finnish because his images remind me of that, but it could be Danish. But I'll dig them up and put some images and the like on the show notes. But those kinds of aesthetics are very inspiring, and I think if we kind of join what we're kind of discussing in terms of the challenges of this kind of photography to the future of photography, things are getting easier for us as cameras are expressing an ability to actually capture both ranges.
The skill part, the craft part is not as demanding anymore.
So I'm going to challenge that a little bit in a positive way, because I don't like that. Right? I think there's not the craft becoming easier. I mean, actually, because that democratizes it all, as we say quite a lot, and it makes it easier to capture the thing that you see in your head, right, with the tool that you have in your hand. But actually, for me, it's I prefer it, more the old-fashioned way, and actually working it through and understanding which bit I want to capture and which bit I'm going to let fade out or black out or whatever. And
you definitely have more control that way. Absolutely.
I don't want my winter scene to look like a summer scene. If I wanted to do that, I'd shove it in AI or just go out and take the shot in the summer, right?
You have the perfect camera for you. It's called an 8x10 camera. It goes on a tripod.
You know what? Last weekend we had a large format photography here in the house, and one of the guys is an 8x10 photographer. He didn't bring his. We went 4x5 just for convenience purposes.
Convenience 4x5. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, yep. Sure. So what I love about that time of year is, I'm usually a fan of doing exactly the opposite of what everyone else does in photography. When it rains, people tend to stay in. I try to go out because you get the more interesting photos. When it's foggy, I go out and take pictures because you find things.
Because why not?
Here's one of my all-time favorites. This one.
Yeah, I love that.
It's just
beautiful. Yeah.
Nothing in the picture. For those who listen, it's pretty much an empty picture with some trees that come out of the fog. And it was even more foggy. I pulled out some of the contrast. I think the entire picture had half a stop of contrast between the darkest and the brightest. So there was almost nothing on it, and I tickled it out a bit, and that brought some interesting artifacts with it, which I love. So
anybody listening who's a fan of Todd Hido or Todd Hido?
Yeah, that's...
He's a photographer who I'm going to say specializes, but his work over decades now has been through car windows in the rain, very foggy, atmospheric. And again, we should put that in the show notes too, because his work is well worth pointing out for that kind of mellowness. And this shot is very much in his vernacular. It's it's like it's mystical, it's mysterious.
It hides a lot of things in the fog, so it opens up so much space for your imagination that you can fill in. So
I think we're getting somewhere. Is hiding things and having your photograph actually be slightly obfuscated from the very subject you're shooting, so that you really lean forward in reacting or trying to observe the actual photograph, never mind the reality of it when we're taking it. But I think that kind of, it's almost the opposite of a news documentarian image. It is impressionistic, but it also is very captivating. And I would have to say, and I don't know if you guys would agree, but in taking those photographs, the moment of capture for me is unlike any other moment of capture that I feel. I feel very satisfied when I've taken a picture of that mystery, because I also know that what I'm seeing is fleeting. In other words, the light will change, it will get brighter, the fog will dissipate, it will get sharper, and to capture it in that perfect moment is an aha moment for me emotionally when I take the picture. And that's that feeling. We've not really ever talked about the feeling that goes about or connected with the moment of pressing the shutter.
It's a really good point, actually, because it's possibly for me a little bit easier to imagine that when you take a portrait and you've captured the facial expression just so, and because when you're taking portraits, making portraits, when you've got it right. I mean, you'll continue on and you might get another really good one as well or whatever, but as soon as you hit the shutter button which ones are going to work and which ones are not, right? Which ones are just the contact sheet that you'll publish later. It's interesting thought that for landscape, because I'm not much of a landscape photographer. Cityscapes possibly, more than landscapes. So urban landscape, if you like, and the interaction of people within their urban their urban environment. But which can be satisfying as well. But it's a good point. And but there's also, I think, possibly it's a little bit easier to get into that zen, calm, focused zone when the weather is like that, isn't it? Or when the light is this way, or it's foggy or misty, because often there's a hush about the place, and and it's for me anyway, it's easier to get into a zone where you're really seeing things and focused. So
it's true. Yeah. I think that's true. There's another point, which is, as a practitioner, as it were, of AI image creation, non-camera image creation, false photography, whatever you want to call it, which gives me a lot of kind of interaction with the machine and this kind of dance. No matter how elegant, beautiful, perfect, and satisfying the visual aspect of a landscape that I have created through interacting with a machine, with the AI, it's never as amazing as taking the actual photograph of it in real life. Now, I won't say that about other things like objects, people, action, which I'm perfectly fine to present as AI. But having captured something in the landscape that actually looks almost artificial is that balance of magic.
that, and for me, that doesn't really matter what kind of photography, but even in landscape photography, there's this kind of a bit of a hunter thing going on. You stalk the landscape, you watch the light changing, you try to hit the perfect moment where, I don't know, the clouds are exactly where they need to be, or something is just right, and something that changes is just right, and then that moment, you are right. It's one of these. Ooh, that's nice. I think I have it with portraits, Adrian. Often, I find that I have the feeling when I take the picture. Oh yes, that's an awesome one, and later that's not, and another one pops out and goes, "Look here, I'm here," and it's much better. It really depends on portraiture, and I'm not saying I'm bad at it, but it's more of a spray and pray kind of thing, at least a little bit.
Well, I've had that happen. And some things are growers, aren't they? Right? Some things you look at them and then you come back to them later, and you on the fifth time of looking at it, you go, "Oh, you notice that little nuance, that little detail that brings it really into focus for you and makes it the one."
Going for a walk in brutal blizzard conditions with the camera is very different than going for a walk in a blizzard without a camera.
So I'm going to take that as a segue. Jeremiah, because I'm going to offer a very much less zen and calm way of enjoying the winter photography, and link in the show notes on this one as well, Chris. So the and this is a bit of self promotion, right? Because we can't always let Jeremiah be the self promoter. So. So this is a very small set of photographs that I made one evening earlier this year, and it just snowed, and I went out in the back garden and I played with the dog, and I played it with my daughter, and I took out my little Olympus Tough camera because it was snowing and I just wanted this particular aesthetic that I get out of it, and I had just a torch. It might even have been a bicycle light, right? It wasn't anything flashy in terms of full spectrum white light or anything like that. It was literally just a thing that projects light. So it was either a basic torch or it was a bike light or whatever that we have lying around the house. And we went out and we played in the snow for a while, and it was frenetic, and it was it certainly wasn't calm and zen. We were having a whale of a time running around playing. The dog had never seen snow before, and there was just all sorts of it was a fantastic thing. So it's for me it's embracing it, but in an entirely different way, right? It's not about light, it's about the lack of light and making your own light in some ways. It has some similarities, Jeremiah, when you were talking about the things that you include but don't include, and you get less and less as you go through. If it's foggy, you get less in the picture. And Chris, you were talking about lots of negative space, which is great. This for me is more like party photography, and that's the other thing that I'd say go with it. We have a resurgence of 90s point and shoot aesthetic at the moment is very trendy. So winter time is also the time for parties, right? To take a little point and shoot and take in your face flash photography of things that drag the shutter a little bit to get the movement of your friend dancing on the top of that table in the bar, right? And that is another way for me to really embrace winter. It's a chance to try different styles and do different things.
And this is a photo on the screen that your iPhone would probably have automatically put in the trash,
Yeah. Thanks, mate. Yeah,
it would have done. No, I'm saying the iPhone doesn't have any taste. That's what I'm saying. The iPhone, it's hard to get shots with a dragging shutter out of a smartphone these days.
Yes, so there's some some shots here where I was deliberately trying to get the snow and the trails of snow. So so how is it I do that? Well, these are
caterpillars.
not shot.
You shot caterpillars in the air.
Shot caterpillars falling through the air, yeah. But this is a shot that took me several goes to get. This one where you've I'm guessing now it was an LED light I was using because it seems to be flickering, and that's what's given the caterpillar look. So it must have been probably an LED bicycle light and my little point and shoot camera, and working different shots at the angle of the light, the camera in my right hand, the light in my left hand, and working it out so that I get the snow to reflect the light back into the camera, so you see the trails of the snow and you get that picture of it happening. All of that took no more than a few seconds to sort out, and it's just a question of moving your left hand with the light in it as you try and take the shot, and then using the ones that come out nicely. But that's fun, right?
Adrian, if you blew these up like 3 or 4 feet wide and mounted them as a beautiful print, they would be powerful. I want to call them abstractions of reality. A, they're black and white, but B, they're non-documentarian. They come from a feeling more than a compositional aesthetic, formal. But some of these kind of imagery blown up give them I want to call them a stage that looking at them small doesn't provide.
Yes.
And I can say this because sometimes you have a formal, beautiful landscape photograph that, when blown up, really doesn't present itself strong as it would be smaller in a group, and actually shows the weaknesses of the actual image. It looks facile, it looks bland, whatnot. But size and scale, and we've talked about this before, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again, that the presentation of an image in terms of its size and scale, is it a group, is it standing alone, really affects how we react to it. And I just wanted to say that these would really be amazing. Choose 1 or 2 and make them big.
That's a good point. I've seen them big on a monitor, right? On a big monitor. Oh, totally different. Yes. So I have seen them big, and I think up at the sort of gallery print size, 3 or 4 feet across. Actually, I think you're right. They would be quite something there. And all of this, by the way, this whole collection of photos, this whole piece of work, this whole collection, all photographed in about 15 minutes. One of the quickest projects I've ever done. These things don't have to last a lifetime, right? You could just go out and capture the moment. And so I love the winter for this, right? And I will have many more opportunities. Being a dog owner and a dog walker, I will have many opportunities to take photographs in the dark in the next 4 months or so. In fact, I will probably have some opportunities this evening to do just that. It's the start of the season. There's still too many leaves on the trees, really, for it to look like winter here. But it's getting there, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to seeing them. Worse weather, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Chris, you're on mute for some reason. At least to us you are. But I'll keep talking.
Am I off mute? No, I'm good.
Oh, no, there you are. Back
again.
Wrong button. So the going outside, the weather is one thing, and the other, of course, just to complete this picture, is if it's too cold and if you can't really do it, then do some tabletop photography. Find some small things, some macros in the house.
Get a window and shoot through the window to the cold.
or that. No, but
in
but
your
I
car.
mean, really. We've done some things on several workshops with just tiny things on a table, a little piece of paper as a backdrop, some tape, some desk lights, some LED lights. They're so cheap now. You can quickly create, in comparison to what you're shooting, a huge soft light box out of, I don't know, some tissue paper and a cardboard box or something.
Yeah, shower curtains are good. Yep.
Shower curtains are good. Anything that you might have a white IKEA box or something that you use for that purpose. There's so many little things you can do in the house, around the house. Of course, it always helps if you have a project or if you, I don't know, find some old stuff that you're gonna sell on eBay, so you need some product photos.
Have we explored in the past this? I think he's from Spain. He's a tabletop photographer. Does a lot of advertising, and he combines Fernando again. Blanking on
goes
his
in
name,
the show notes.
he goes in the show notes, but he will create huge landscapes out of papier-mâché and uses a lot of fog, builds and paints models meticulously, changes the light in Photoshop, and they are ultra realistic, gorgeous landscapes of scale, all done tabletop wise. It's a genre. And it's an extraordinarily technical genre, but again, it's very beautiful. And just taking photographs inside, trying to recreate that is also very good. And I would encourage anybody who's doing that to get a little smoke machine or a little, atmosphere goes a long way of distilling and pulling out things, even just burning a candle and wafting it. I mean, the most simple ways to do that. But,
burn
that comes
some toast. Yeah, keep the kitchen door closed. Keep the kitchen door closed, because otherwise you set off the smoke alarms.
The photo is only good if the smoke detector went off, right?
No, you've got to be careful. We have that in our house. You've got to be careful.
Yeah.
Too many smoke detectors. Well, obviously not too many smoke detectors, but listen, can I have a shout out, right? Because we talked a lot about photography projects in the winter. Part of what I experience every winter, there's a lot of podcasts and YouTube and say things like, well, if you can't go out because it's dark, obviously we've solved that problem already on this show. But if you can't go out because it's dark and cold, then spend time sorting through your archive. Can I put a nuance on that actually for this? Because I don't think that that's a bad thing. But if you have a large archive and it's largely chaotic, then that could come with some stress. And actually, we want to enjoy our photography, right? We want to enjoy our hobbies and things like that. So can I throw an idea into the pot here for a non? It is a photography project, but it's a non-capture. It's a publication almost end, a production end, a post-production end. The idea is simply this, right? We are coming up to the time of gift giving, right? There are many holidays over the winter period, and we probably should stress that all of this, an apology to our Southern Hemisphere listeners. As ever, we're 6 months out of whack with you guys, so sorry about that. But maybe you're 6 months behind, and you can listen to this one in March. But I think there's a way of appreciating your photo archive, and there's a way of indulging in it and enjoying it rather than finding it as a sort of housekeeping, high stress exercise. And that's simply to share your photos. Right? Yeah. Why not print out some photos? They don't have to be great quality. If not so many people send Christmas cards in the UK as they used to when I was a kid. The internet has kind of wiped that out. But there's no reason you can't print a basic 6x4 and stick that in a Christmas card and send it to people. Or, and this is a lesson I get from the world of Etsy shops and things like that that we have here in our home. Is often you'll order something and it comes with a little freebie. It could be a little postcard, it could be a sticker, it could be something like that. So have a think about, every Christmas present you're going to wrap or whatever the holiday celebrations are that you have. Put a photo in it. Go through your archive. Print a few. You don't even need to choose very many. You could choose 3 or 4 and just print 5 each of them, and random lottery for who's going to get the gift of your photography this winter. And let's think of it as a gift, right? We're imposing our photography on other people. Like they can't say no because it's winter holiday time. So just get it out there.
I like that.
Me too.
That's good. Yeah.
Also, there is something about going through an old archive, which is in some ways a walk in another world and into your past, where you see a picture that because your intention 15 years ago was quite different than your aesthetic or your intention now. And you look at a picture and you go like, God, I never even really noticed that. I had rejected that as part of the group. I'm going to take that and work with it in a different way. And that's something that no doubt I'll follow my own lead on this at some point. I'm still trying to edit my Arctic pictures. It just takes a lot of time to go through them, and I'm very careful of not doing it too long, because you get worn out and you start to go, you
go snow blind in front of your screen.
Yeah. So you want to just allocate a certain amount of hyper-aware, involved time. As soon as it starts to get a little tiring, stop. But
and this is what I mean about don't let it become a stressful thing. Don't let it become tiring.
Enjoy it.
Don't do it in such a way that it sucks all the joy out of it. Actually enjoy it. Just dip in. Browse. For a period of time, or whatever it is that you think you'd like to do. Because maybe it's to go back to a specific time and say, okay, well, this year I'm going to share pictures of us all 20 years ago, just so we can all have a laugh, and just go and look at a little time sliver of your archive or something like that. We've all got many thousands of images, most of us hundreds of thousands of images, right? So, it's and that's not even counting videos, right? So, but you just find those 2 or 3 things that you can share with people that will bring them a smile, right? In the holiday period. I have just thought this on the fly, right? And this is for both of you guys. It's a little bit of a challenge, and there's probably a podcast in it, right? So, if we can get it sorted in the next week or two. We talked earlier this year, because I'd spotted it at the photo show, about a product called Peak 2, which in theory would be an AI engine to allow you to manage your photos. And unfortunately, it didn't work particularly well for me.
Me neither.
What I do find works well for me, though, is Apple Photos or iOS Photos, right? On the Mac or on the phone or an iPad or whatever. There's quite a lot of, if you search on that, it'll retrieve quite a lot. What would be great, though, is, and a great use of AI in support of sharing your photos for the holiday, is if we had something we could recommend to our listeners, reasonably tool agnostic, but I know there'll have to be some tools in there somewhere that said, how can I find some interesting things, right? If I use Google, if I'm an Android user, can I use Gemini to query my Google Photos collection and find some interesting stuff? Can I, say, I don't know, can I use an AI to dig into my Instagram things through an API and find interesting things? I don't know if any of that's possible, but if you guys would know better than me if those sorts of things are possible.
The difficulty, and I can't say too much about it because I'm involved in a technical experiment with some people in Silicon Valley that is really about sending AI to find, in this case, some dramatic piece that it interpolates into a prompt and creates imagery. When you say interesting, dramatic, those are very human rather than machine. It can understand
very
what
subjective as well.
So you would have to train an agent to understand what you find interesting, what that means, which means leaving out a lot of stuff, focused on stuff. Is it something that would create an interesting image, or is it an interesting story, or is it unusual, out of the ordinary, dreamlike? So once you start to define your search and create that agent to your aesthetic, like if you trained it with, 25 interesting images that had a similar bent, then you could go out and find similar images, but it is not something that is easily done with those subjective terms.
How
Just saying.
did we get here from winter photography?
Well, I think it's linked. So it's things like if you're going to, for me, it's going to be if you're going to put a print into a present that you're wrapping for somebody, there's an element of I mean, we've talked about sort of dipping in and indulging in the archive, but is there a way of using the technology to surface some things that not so much not generative, just searching and finding. So if I said, for example, okay, well, I'm going to send to Uncle Bob, who is a piano player. I'd love to send an image of him playing the piano to a bunch of the family, or that gig that he did back in 1995 or whatever, and just say, okay, how do we do that? Because we all use different libraries to manage our archives. Can I run an AI just against my backup hard drive? How does it work in Lightroom? How would it work in what would we use Gemini for, or some other AI? And it's just a thought anyway, just to help people find stuff, because that, for those people that are that are toying with the AI thing, right? Search is a nice one, isn't it?
By the way, soon it's going to be edge computing. All that intelligence will be in your phone. You won't need to go. It won't need to query the cloud, then back to your archive.
Well, I think for Apple, it's on the device already, isn't it? Because if I do a search on my phone and then do the same search on my Mac, it brings back different stuff.
I'm talking about what you just requested, which is find Uncle Bob playing piano. It will know who Bob is, what a piano is.
It's just a matter of not too much time from you.
That's it.
Anyway, let's switch over to our picks of the week. I brought us something that I've recently been very happy that the BBC has started posting things from their archives on YouTube. The BBC Archive channel is an amazing, amazing place. There's like old stuff from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and so on. And one thing I just recently came across, which is very photography relevant, is a little documentary about the Gandolfi brothers, who used to make cameras and large format cameras. There's the large format again. And this documentary is a look into their archive, into their workshop. So it's a 1974 look into the camera makers' archives. And if you like maker content, there's lots of like woodworkers out there on YouTube. This is the real deal. They are, I think the only machine that I saw in this thing, the only electrical machine, was a table saw. The rest is all handmade. You can watch them like put things together with a hammer, with whatever tools you need to make this, and they show you how they make a camera. And they are sought after. The Gandolfi cameras, I've looked online. The used ones, they go for like $1,000 or more. So it's a beautiful look into
craft,
into
craftsmanship,
real manual craft. That's very cool.
That is very cool.
And it's a tiny workshop. These two guys made, I don't know how many cameras they made, and they were really famous. And it's pretty cool.
The cinematography and subject make me feel that I'm watching an episode of The Prisoner or something.
It sort of feels a bit like that. Yes, it does.
All TV in this country looked like that in those days. It's fine.
It does.
The Prisoner was the odd one out because it was actually in colour. The rest of our TV in the 70s was made only in beige.
All right, Adrian, what did you bring us?
So I brought us something from the world of music photography, but also something that is a charity endeavour. So the music photographer, he's many things, but one of the things he was, music photographer Lawrence Watson, has a big archive of stuff running through from the 70s all the way through to the 2000s. And he has collaborated with a photography gallery owner in London called David Hill to launch I guess I was going to say it's a service, but it's not really. It's a print purchasing website called Print Matters, where actually 20% of the proceeds from any print sales go to a mental health charity called Rethink Mental Illness. The archive here is phenomenal, right? There are now 4 photographers, I think, and they're looking to enlist more of them. But these are gallery quality prints of famous musicians, largely from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and you can go, way back into the beginning of people's careers. So this one that you happen to be showing here, it is a photograph of Public Enemy taken in 1987 in London, which memory serves was their first visit to London. And so there's a lot of music history in this as well. There's many photographs of Paul Weller, who the main artist, the main photographer, Lawrence Watson, has done lots of collaborations with lots of album covers. There's a sort of iconic Britpop image next, Liam Gallagher of Oasis in the 90s, sitting on the floor, wrapped in a Union Jack. So there's lots of really iconic stuff. And they're starting to add as well some stuff that is less related to music. So there's a collection of images of Muhammad Ali training for the legendary Rumble in the Jungle fight. This is, if you like, behind the scenes, before behind the scenes photography became a meme. This is photos of Ali training for that fight and his life on the lead up to that fight. Really, really interesting stuff that's available on this, and 20% of all proceeds go to a charity related to mental health. So lots to look at, and an opportunity to help some people as well.
All right, and last but not least, Jeremiah. Of course, you're going AI.
No, I brought this because we did an episode maybe a year ago or more, where we queried each other about, like, what would you like to see in a camera?
Yeah.
Well, here it is. This is not out yet, but it's coming soon. It's a camera. It uses from what I can ascertain, it uses the iPhone as
it looks like
its
it
screen.
attaches.
Yeah, it just basically uses MagSafe. It just attaches as the screen, but everything else is the camera. It's, I think, interchangeable lenses, etc. And it uses Nano Banana to adjust your photography in any way, shape, or form.
So you can tell it, make this into a winter photo.
Yes, exactly. Lower the light. You could do all your editing in camera as you take the picture.
Change the glasses on the person. Yep. Make this into a night shot. Oh, wow.
Yeah. We said this a year ago, I thought. Remember, we were talking
it's just a matter of time till this is in cameras, and now it is. Oh, wow. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So it looks interesting, especially if you combine it with one of those copyright chips that people are putting in cameras now to prove that it's a legitimate photo. Because this is exactly what the camera saw. Honest, because yes.
I think at least the Google Pixels now have creative. What's it called? CCR. Damn it.
I can't remember.
It's some watermark internally.
Content credentials. That's what there's content credentials built in. There was a discussion because some of the Samsung phones had it, but they only added it to generated pictures, but not to real pictures, people's pictures, which is kind of defeating the purpose.
This will be all gone in 5 years, 4 years.
I'm not sure. I want to know if a photo has been made by.
Me too. I want to know, but we're fighting an uphill battle.
Trust is a very important thing, but that's for a different episode.
Conversation, yeah.
Provably analog workflows will do it. Show us your negatives.
I want to see the individual pieces of silver grain. That's what I want to see.
Well, I don't know about that, but show us the negatives, though. Yeah.
All right.
There you go. Yeah.
Show us the negatives. Everyone, show us your negatives. We'll be back soon with more. Until then, you can find us at thefutureofphotography.com. We are on the tubes, so find our videos there. Join us on our Discord. Link is in the show notes. And everyone, take care and go out. And bad weather is good. Okay, go out, take some pictures when no one else is. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to The Future of Photography. Join the discussion on our Discord, find the show notes and all episodes at thefutureofphotography.com, and subscribe wherever you listen to audio.